Yo, what is up guys, Jack Gardiner here. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of playing at the beginning there. Today we are checking out the brand new Line6 3.50 update for units like the Helix and the HX Stomp, but of course for the Helix native plugin as well. Now this update is absolutely huge. Why? Well, of course we've got some new amps in there and some new effects pedals. There are things like dynamic reverbs like plate, ambience, room, things like that which are absolutely brilliant. But I think the main thing which this one has brought to us is the new cabs. Now, a lot of my friends who are mainly like Helix users for live playing as their main rig have often told me that they end up using third-party IRs or custom IRs within their rigs. These new cabs kind of negate the need for those third-party IRs. They sound absolutely brilliant, and the interface, especially in the plugin like Helix Native or in the HX Edit, is absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy with the way that these cabs sound compared to the factory ones that were in there before. So I would highly suggest you go and download the update now if you are a Line6 user. What we're going to do is check out 5 presets I've made using these new cabs, and we're also going to take a look at what they look like. So let's dig in. So first of all, this tone which you're hearing now is the lead tone which you heard at the beginning over that track there. In terms of what's going on, I am using just like a British style amp at the front. It's a plexi. There is a distortion in there as well. We'll hear what that sounds like in a minute. It's acting more like a boost, actually. It's based off the exotic. But this is the main section I want to point out, and this is the new cab section. So we have basically these options up here. You have the option of a single cab, dual cab. You can put single legacy, and then on some you can put dual legacy. They are the old IRs that were already there. But for now, let's focus on these dual cabs. So to start off with, you can link these or unlink them. And so that would mean you can change different parameters and whatnot, and they will act the same on both. Here, I've got like a dual mic setup. I am using the 4x12 Cali V30. I'm just a fan of vintage 30s. I think they sound absolutely wicked, especially for kind of the lead tones or lower gain lead sounds. Now, in terms of what we've got over here, this is like a condenser mic, the 47 FET, it's telling me, but I can physically drag that wherever I want, and all of these distances will change, and the position will change, etc. We have even more options if we come down here and we check that we can say put a high cut on there, low cut. We can change the angle. It's lots of different parameters that you can really visually see, which I like. I think it's an update that's needed to happen for a long time with Line6. And then over on the other side, of course, you can change which mic you've got. You can do all the same with all of the parameters. I've just put a 1-2-1 on here. Let's just get this back to where I think that mic was originally, or around where it was. But yeah, I've got a dual setup there. You could, of course, use 2 different cabs. Lots of different mic settings to really dial in the sound that you want here. But anyway, let's check out what this tone sounds like just by itself. Really cool to play with. I mean, what I love about a plexi in particular is the way it responds to the dynamics of the pick attack. And this feels really nice under the fingers. I mean, if I roll down the volume a little bit, back up. Really nice. Another thing that you can put on this preset if you'd like is a boost. It's just based off of the exotic, I think. But yeah, we've got this sound now. just a little bit of drive in there, just to kind of fatten things up a little bit and to make it a little bit easier to play. With it off again, let's hear that. Really nice. I could play with that kind of tone all day. There's of course some delay and reverb on the go there. I'm just using a simple delay. And then we've got one of the new reverbs. This is the dynamic plate. I just found this felt the most comfortable to play with when it comes to these like lower gain sounds, at least for this tone. With it off. On again. Perfect kind of British style amp low gain setting. So I hope you enjoyed that sound. Let's move on to another one then. This one I've called 80s Chorus Tone, and it's based off of a rig setup that I use when I'm playing with China Crisis over in the UK. They're an 80s pop band, but basically the whole sound that band had were based off of the kind of JC120s, and this is what I'm aiming for here. I've got them running in stereo, but it's a very clean sounding amp with some chorus. And what's cool is that in the cab section over here, we actually have the 2x12, the matching cab of this. I've just put a 57 on it and a 121, one of my favorite mic combinations, and I think it's pretty standard in the industry as a kind of dual mic setup. But let's check out what this sounds like. Very 80s British sound, but I absolutely love it. I think it's a very classic tone. In terms of what's going on with the preset then, we've already seen the cabs. They're the same on both. All of these are kind of duplicated. It's just I'm panning them different ways. There is a distortion as well up there if you would like to use it on one side. But in terms of the amp, it is that JC120. I've got a compressor just in front of it on both of them. Two different compressors. I like the Rochester on that side, and then on this side, I'm using the LA Studio comp. In terms of reverb then, we're using the Plateau. I think there's a shimmer, on this side. And then it's a simple delay on either side. One's at 500 ms and the other's at 325. So we're getting a cool kind of stereo effect there. And that is what Eddie from the band would usually set his up like. In terms of the chorus as well, they are pretty much exactly the same. I think 1% more on the mix on one side, probably just a little error of mine. But yeah, I really like that tone. Let's hear some more of it. really nice. It just nails that British 80s kind of pop sound. Anyway, let's move on to another one then. And I think I have to be a little bit careful with the output on this one because it's a lot hotter. I'm just going to bring this down. I'll fix that before I send it to you guys. But this one I've called it Andy T-ish. I'm sure you can guess who this is based off. Let's check this out. Really fun. Big shout out to John Cordy. I'm sure many of you Line6 users will be familiar with him. I checked out some of his videos and this was a kind of tone I based off of one of his setups. He's an absolute genius when it comes to the Line6 stuff and for tone in general. But what's going on here, it's kind of like, again, a stereo kind of rig. I'm using the Cali Texas, which is what Andy Timmons would tend to use. Both of these on the clean channel actually, and then in front of it I've got like a Timmy pedal. In front of that I've actually got a boost. If we turn that boost off, let's check out what it sounds like just with the Timmy in front of it. Really nice. If we get rid of that, the clean tone from this is perfectly usable as well. This is just a really nice clean. We've got the compressor on right at the front as well. I think that's similar to how Andy would set up his rig, but let's check this out. So really perfectly usable clean tone, so you could set that up on different snapshots if you'd like, to have those different stages of gain. In terms of delay, we've tried to copy Andy's signature delay sound, which is the 500 ms on one side and then 300 on the other. It's a dual delay type thing. In terms of the reverb, I'm using the dynamic plate, which is one of the new ones. Again, like I mentioned, that was probably my favorite from the new update. In terms of cabs, this time I am using the V30s again, the Cali ones. I just really like them. In terms of mics, we're using a condenser on one side, and I think, is that a 160 on the other? Yeah, Ribbon 160. They just sound really nice to my ears, especially that match. Maybe let's just put it on the Timmy again so that you can hear how that sounds, and I'll turn the compressor off just so you can hear that. Very nice tone. You can mess with all of those parameters, see what you prefer yourself. Let's move on to the next one then. So this one, I've called it General Clean. And it's kind of pushed if you have that distortion on there. I'm just going to check that that's off. But essentially, the amp which I'm using is the Line6 Litigator. This is kind of a clean amp that I guess it's based off of a Dumble meets, high-end Fender kind of thing. It's their amalgamation of all of these to try and make a really nice clean, and I loved the sound. In terms of the cab, what I'm using is the Blackback. I guess that's a Vintage 30 in that as well. In terms of mics, I'm using the 906 Dynamic, and then that's a 160 on the other side. This is a really simple setup, but it sounds really nice to my ears. Just using a simple delay, and then I'm using the double tank reverb over here. Now, in front of it, there is a Minotaur, or you know what that is, distortion, and then the deluxe comp. For now, let's leave the distortion off, and let's just hear what it sounds like. Really, really nice. Just could be used for any kind of style as a startup, really, and then you could tweak from there. You know, if I tried some of the funk stuff, maybe I get rid of the delay, and let's try that. Just really, really versatile clean tone. I mean, let's get that delay back on, and then let's put that clon in front of it. So this could be a nice low gain lead as well. Not too much gain. It sounds a little bit more traditional, I would say, in terms of a lead tone, but I really like it. So definitely check that out. Have fun with it. Let's move on then to the last one, and one of my favorites to play around with when I'm just playing alone here in the studio. This one I've called Ambient JG. Now, in terms of the amp, I'm using the Supra on one side, and then I'm using this Interstate Z. I'm guessing that's a Dr. Z on the other side there. I've got a delay and reverb set up on one side, the crisscross and the searchlights on one side, and then the Elephant Man and the searchlights on the other side. Now, in terms of cabs, I'm using the 2x12 Bluebell over here and a 1x12 Deluxe. Remember, I said you can link these cabs or you can edit them separately. So that is on the Supro. I just found that combination sounded really nice to me. I think it's a 57 on both of them. Yeah. And then over on the other cab, I'm just using a 1x12 Fender type Deluxe. It just sounded really nice to me. In terms of distortion pedal, then it's the Timmy in front of both of them. And then we've got, I think, the Rochester on both of these. So let's check out what this sounds like. This is a big washy tone, shall we say. really angry, actually. I mean, if we turn off those distortions, though, it works great as a cleaner ambient sound as well. Now, of course, if you wanted even more, you could crank that reverb and delay. It's actually not as big as I initially thought there. You could push it even more if you wanted even more ambient. But I really like these sounds, and I think these cabs have really transformed it. At least for me, they feel much better under the fingers. That's why I'd suggest any of you Helix users out there or HX Stomp, go and update it and check these out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised compared to your third-party IRs. These definitely do the trick. Hope you guys have enjoyed the play in there and the presets. I'll try and find a way to make them public for you to all download. But what do you guys think of the new update? Are you enjoying it? Are you a Helix user? And have these really changed the game for you? I'd love to know your thoughts. Please leave a like and comment. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Jack Gardiner. I'll catch you guys soon. Cheers.